Do you know what Olivia Pope would never do? She would never let someone else control her schedule, her access, or her attention. She'd walk into that office, pour a glass of wine, and say, "It's handled." Meanwhile, you're Googling best apps for always on work culture at midnight on your phone, in bed, next to your charger. Come on. You know what I'm talking about. Let me tell you, the apps, they won't save you. And here's why. Always on isn't a time management problem, it's actually a leverage problem. And until you understand the difference, you're going to keep burning out with a color coded calendar. In fact, I want you to pull up your calendar from last week. Count how many of those meetings advanced your actual position. Not made you busy, not made you visible, advanced you. Okay, do the math. And if that number is under 30%, you're not managing your time. You're managing everyone else's access to it. Come on, that clicked. I want you to type time in the comments because you're picking up what I'm putting down. Here, I'm going to help you understand why always on, it isn't structural, but it is what is keeping you stuck. And the one shift that helps you reclaim your leverage without quitting. Okay. So if you do want to test drive a different way of leading yourself, I have a 7-day mini challenge. The link is in the description. It's a 1-week experiment. No pressure, just data, because data is feedback and that's what helps us shift. All right. So let's talk about the app fantasy, right? You've looked at them all, right? Calendar blockers, focus apps, boundary setting guides, time tracking software that tracks how you're wasting your time, tracking time. And for a week or maybe two, it works. And then someone says, "Quick question." And then that starts a fire drill. Your manager asks, "Can you jump on a quick call?" And that whole system, it collapses, doesn't it? And you know why? It's because these apps, they never tell you this one thing. They treat always on like a personal discipline problem, and it's not. It's a value problem. You became valuable by always being available. Quick turnarounds, responsiveness, reliable in a pinch. And now availability, it's your currency. She always responds. She's fast. She can handle it. Let's loop her in. Drop loop in the comments if you've heard that phrase one too many times. I want to see who else is getting looped in here. So when you try to set a boundary, let's talk about what happens, right? It feels like a career risk because if you're not available, someone else is. And visibility matters. You don't want to seem checked out. The app can't fix this because the problem isn't how you manage your calendar. It's what you're trading for credibility. I want you to stay with me because I'm about to show you the piece no one talks about. It's not about boundaries. It's about what you're trading. In fact, always on doesn't just steal your time. It distorts 3 things, right? It distorts your decision making. I mean, okay, first of all, let's think about Beyonce or Taylor Swift for those of you who aren't in the Beehive. If they're on a world tour, she's not making a last minute custom decision between sets. Like those decisions have been made months ago with a clear head, full information, and strategic filters. She performs at the level she does because her judgment is protected. You running on reactive fumes, you're making hiring decisions, deal terms, and priority calls at the equivalent of like a sound check in chaos. And how are you doing it? You're doing it with a half-eaten lunch and 6 unread Microsoft Teams messages. Strategic decisions made under pressure, they're not strategy, they are survival. The second thing that you're doing is your leverage. Let's talk about it. When you're always accessible, scarcity disappears and scarcity creates value. So notice how senior executives respond to things 24 to 48 hours, not in 4 minutes, right? In fact, some of these senior executives request a pre-read. How many of you have been stuck in the pre-read loop? I need the pre-read 24 hours before the meeting. And you're like, you just gave me the decision and I don't have enough time to even get that done. Okay, so leverage. So I want you to notice how senior executives respond to things 24 to 48 hours, not 4 minutes. That's not rude. That's positioning. Your response time is a signal about how you sit in the organizational hierarchy. Think about that. The last thing I want you to think about, the third thing, is your career trajectory, right? There are like two paths. Path A, busy, visible, stuck at the same level for 3 years, or path B, strategic, selective, promoted in 18 months, right? The difference is not talent, it's leverage. People think that burnout is a problem. It's not. Burnout is the symptom. The actual formula, if you really want to get technical, it is output plus low leverage equals burnout. You cannot avoid it by managing your calendar better. You avoid it by increasing your leverage. And this is exactly day one of my 7-day self-leadership challenge. We address it by tracking where your leverage is leaking. That link's in the description if you really want to experiment. Now, let's talk about the leverage shift. I'm going to give you 2 moves. You're ready for it, right? Managing always on. It isn't about setting boundaries. It's about changing what you're optimizing. So the move 1 is from availability to judgment. I respond fast. I'm reliable. I get things done. Olivia Pope, she said that in season 1, but by season 7, what was she saying? It's handled. And she was taking shots from the White House, right? The shift, she stopped being the one who showed up. She became the one whose judgment shaped the room. I'm curious, like, what's your current I'm the only one who sentence, right? Does it reflect availability or authority? I'm the only one who proofreads the deck. I'm the only one who checks the metrics, in the middle of the month and puts together like some itemized opportunities and risks for senior leadership. Does that reflect availability or authority? Because I want you to look at it differently, right? I want you to say, I want you to say in your mind, man, my recommendations are sound. I can see around corners. My decisions hold up under pressure, right? So instead of, I'll turn that around today, I want you to try this. I will have a solid recommendation for you by Thursday. You know what you did? You just positioned yourself as strategic, not reactive. I want you to practice this pivot in your next stakeholder interaction and notice the energy shift. Okay. The second move I want you to make, we're going to create decision filters. Okay. This is the framework I walk through in my move framework, owning it, right? Because the moment you stop being on autopilot, saying yes in the moment, you start operating from a decision standard, not a people pleasing reflex. You say to yourself, do I own this? And you think to yourself, you know what? I can't give this my best attention, especially the attention it deserves right now. Can X handle it, or should we push it to next week? You're not saying no to helping it. You're saying yes to quality. In fact, I want you to write that on a sticky note and put it next to your monitor, because that is tea right there. So I got to tell you the uncomfortable truth, because nobody tells the reliable manager, the woman who always delivers, always figures it out, always holds the team together, that reliability, it is not a leadership strategy. It is a loyalty test that organizations keep throwing at you, right? Like always on culture, it rewards availability, and leaders get rewarded through judgment. And you can't build judgment when you're constantly reacting. You're not inconsistent. You're not conflicted. And there's a difference, right? The promotion adjacent woman, the one being called the future leader while running at an unsustainable capacity. Let me tell you, you need to hear this the most. The leaders above you who look burned out. Yeah, that's not leadership. You see them, right? They're running around, they're doing things, and you're like, man, they're always on it. But you can see them fraying at the sides. You can see, man, they don't eat lunch anymore. Man, they're always running. That's what happens when you add more responsibility without changing how you operate. And that's what we're doing right now. We're taking a proactive approach. Before you get to that leadership role, we are truly reconsidering how you operate, so that way you can lead yourself differently and watch everything around you shift. You can grow without turning yourself into a machine. It is possible, even if you haven't seen it in your organization. And this is what that 7-day self-leadership challenge is about. It's a 1-week experiment to interrupt the loop day by day. You cannot manage always on with apps and time blockers, okay? You manage it by increasing your leverage, by shifting your availability to judgment and from output to strategy and going from reactive to deliberate. Here's your challenge. Come on, I got to give you a challenge this week. I want you to identify one meeting or one request that's low leverage. I want you to decline it or delegate it and watch what happens. My guess, it isn't an old Western showdown, right? Nothing's going to break. And that information, that's going to help you. That's data, right? And we use data to inform our decisions. You can call it out, right? You can identify. You don't need better time management. You need better leverage. I'll see you in the next one.